Good morning, student. This is Dr. Kasturi from Wales. Today we are going to see the subject software engineering. Let us get into the subject. In software engineering, we are going to see the block software design. In that, we are going to see architectural design, pattern-based design, and web app design. In previous units, we saw about flow-oriented modeling. In flow-oriented modeling, we saw about data flow diagram, BFTs, its components, and an example for that. And then we saw about the sequence diagram. Okay. In this topic, we are going to see about architectural design, pattern-based design, and web app design. Okay, let us get into the topic. It covers architecture design patterns and web app design patterns. Okay, what is architectural design patterns? It is a software that needs architectural design to represent the design of a software. Therefore, the design of a software is represented using the architectural design concepts. Therefore, the design should define the external entities that the software interacts with the nature of the interaction. Yes, who is going to interact with the software? They are the external entities. Therefore, the design should define the external entities that the software interacts with and nature of the interaction. The software may interact with the data source. It is an external entity. And how it is going to interact, through which type of connectivity it is going to interact, the databases interact with the software, those details should be defined in this architectural design. Then the information can generally be acquired from the requirements model and all other information gathered during requirements engineering. How does the architectural design pattern acquires the information? Through the requirements model and the information gathered during the requirements engineering. Fine. An archetype is an abstraction that represents one element of system behavior. It's an abstraction that represents the element of system behavior. Okay. The set of archetypes provides what? A collection of abstraction that must be modeled architecturally if the system is to be constructed. For a set of archetypes is a collection of abstraction that the system is to be constructed, but the archetype themselves do not provide enough implementation detail. Therefore, the designer specifies the structure of the system by defining and refining software components. He will define the software components. Therefore, from the defining, he will refine. Only some software components will be taken from defining. Therefore, he will refine the software components that implement each archetype. Okay. This process continues iteratively until a complete architectural structure has been derived. Therefore, architecture design represents the design of a software, and that design also should include the external entities and what is the nature of the interaction between that external entity and the software. And then it also gather information from the requirements model, the two from requirements engineering. And then there will be a representation of each element of a system behavior will be done by the archetype. It is an abstraction type. Therefore, the set of archetypes provides a collection of abstraction that must be modeled architecturally. And then those archetypes will not provide the implementation detail. Therefore, the designer specifies the structure of the system by defining, and refining will be done for the software components that implement each archetype. Therefore, each archetype will be implemented by the software component. For this process continues iteratively, repeatedly, until a complete architectural structure has been derived for a software. Fine. Then comes representing the system in context. Okay, how do we represent the system in context? There are represented as, therefore it's the architectural design that is be developed that are represented as four contexts. They are superordinate systems, subordinate systems, peer level systems, and actors. What are superordinate systems? Those systems that use the largest system as a part of some higher level processing scheme. So superordinate systems are those which process higher level processing. And then what is subordinate system? That provides data or processing that are necessary to complete target system functionality. Provide data or processing that is necessary to complete target system functionality. And what is P-level system? That is those systems that interact on a peer-to-peer basis. That is, information is either produced or consumed by the peers and the target system. Information is either given or taken by the peers and the target system. Now, what are actors or entities? People's devices. Okay, people and devices are entities that interact with the target system by producing or consuming. Yeah, he will give information or else he will get the information. He will give his, for example, he will give his input and then he will get his report. He will give his register number and he will get his result. Same way, actors are a people and it might be the devices also. It interact with the target system by producing or consuming information that is necessary for requested processing. Fine. Next, we'll be seeing advantages and disadvantages of architectural design. Okay, there are a number of advantages and disadvantages of using software architecture patterns during the course of development. Okay, startups use architecture patterns for different reasons. So what are the advantages? We are going to see the advantages here. Architecture defines the model of the software, how it will function, and defines the problem you might encounter when it comes to implementation. Therefore, architecture design will be most probably will be leading to the implementation. Okay, therefore, it will define what are the problems you might encounter during the implementation. As a result, these patterns make it easier to make decisions and manage changes to get better estimates of time and cost of a project. Based upon the architectural design, we can estimate the time and the cost of a project because architectural design deals with the actual implementation. But that this is prior to the implementation. Therefore, this deals with the problems. Therefore, it can deal with the problem of that will be encountering during the implementation work. Therefore, by this we can estimate what time and cost of a project. It also provide a proven reusable solution for known problems, and it is built on a tried and tested design experience. For example, from the existing system, it can take the solution. Therefore, its solution is reusable. The architecture design can take the existing systems design and reuse it for a proposed system. Therefore, it is a proven reusable solution that can be used for many other problems. And it is built on a tried and test design experience. We are trying and testing it. Okay. Huge cost saving opportunity. Yes. No need to build from the scratch. We can reuse the existing one also, and reduction in risk if a software architecture is used. Okay, therefore risk is low and cost is also saved. Okay, higher quality standards are achieved because the pattern results in a highly testable and traceable development process. Yeah, therefore when we create a pattern using architectural design, what happens? Higher quality standards are achieved. How do we achieve that? By highly testable and traceable. Testing and tracing is done through the development process. Fine. Now, okay, what are the disadvantages? Yes, if you always have some advantages, we also have some drawbacks in that. What are the disadvantages? A poorly selected software design pattern increases the total cost. Definitely. Definitely, if the selection of the design pattern does not matches, then there will be a total increase in cost and duration of a development project, because the proposed offer product has to be adapted to the selected pattern. Therefore, design pattern should be selected properly. If you are not selecting the design pattern properly, it leads to the increase in the cost and the duration of the development process. Then innovative and cutting edge solutions will commonly not have suitable architecture pattern. Yes, Therefore, this architectural design pattern is more often used for a known problem. That is, we can take the existing systems architecture design and apply to the new one. That means new one means it will be similar to the existing one. For that type of project, this architectural design pattern will be used. But if you are going to reuse the design pattern, architecture design pattern for an innovative or a new project, which is not similar to the existing one, then there will be a question mark of whether the architecture pattern suits the proposed system. Therefore, it will not have a suitable architecture pattern. At time, it is a big drawback. Only for the existing similar type of projects can be the existing architecture design can be used for the similar type of proposed one. Okay, can result in an overly complicated software product due to the selection of inappropriate. Sometimes some inappropriate architecture pattern has been selected. It also leads to what? Complicated software product. Therefore, selection should be done very carefully. Okay. Pattern-based design. Okay. In software engineering, a design pattern is general reusable solution to a commonly occurring problem in software design. Therefore, the design pattern can be reused. Therefore, it can be used for many problems in software design. But the design pattern is not a finished design that can be transformed directly into code. Only a finished design can be directly transformed into code. Therefore, it is not a finished design. Same way, it is a description or template for how to solve a problem. A design pattern gives an idea about how to solve a problem that can be used in many different situations. Therefore, it is not a finished design which needs to be code writing. Therefore, it is before that, that is, it's a template of how to solve the problem. Okay. By using pattern-based design, we cannot directly transform this into a code. Okay. Should be clear in that. This is a simple example for pattern-based design in context. Okay, okay. For which design begins, ma? By which architecture design gets the information from the requirements model and the requirements engineering, from requirements analysis and the requirements engineering. So that we are telling it's a requirements model. From the requirements model, the architecture design gets the information through which it can prepare, consider design concepts, extract problem context forces, consider design quality attributes, everything. And then it was addressed by pattern. Architecture design patterns applied, yes. Then begin pattern based task. If it is no, apply other design methods. It was not a design pattern method, it was a other design methods and notation. You can also use that. Okay, if it is going to be addressed by pattern, if it is going to be yes, we can address. Therefore, begin pattern based task. If it is no, apply normal or design methods and notation and design the model. You can also design using the pattern-based design and normal design methods. Fine. Okay. Then a software designer begins with the requirements model that represents an abstract representation of the system. Definitely, the design, architecture design gets the information from the requirements model. The requirements model describes the problem set, establishes the context, and identifies the system of forces that holds me. Okay. Problem set, context and a system of forces. Okay, design patterns. Okay, and then design patterns can be three types. Design patterns can be three types. It can be creational, it can be structural, and it can be behavioral. Therefore, design patterns can be three types: creational, structural, and behavioral. We are going to see one by one. What is that? Yeah, what are creational patterns? Creational patterns are design patterns that deal with object creation mechanism. Therefore, creational patterns mainly deal with the object creation mechanism, how the objects are created. Trying to create objects in a manner suitable to the situation. Yeah, creating objects is a basic thing. It depends upon the situation and environment of the system. Okay, suitable to the situation. The basic form of object creation could result in design problems or added complexity to the design. The basic form of object creation, what it will result in design problems, okay, and complexity to the design. Yes, after the object creation, the designing will be started. For that, Therefore, the object creation, what? If it's not created properly, it could result in design problems or some complexity in the design. Creating design patterns solve this problem by somehow controlling the object creation. Therefore, creating design patterns. What are actual design patterns? Then object creation mechanism. By we create object creation using creational patterns. Therefore, we can control the object creation and we can manage efficiently. Okay. Next come the structural patterns. Yeah, in software engineering, structural patterns are design patterns that ease the design by identifying a simple way to realize relationship between entities. Yeah, entities. Entity, what is an entity? It may be a place, thing, or a person. Therefore, what are the relationship between the entities? Those things are easily designed by this structural pattern. How the objects are created, those things are done by creational patterns. How the two entities are related, those things are done through structural patterns. And next comes the behavioral patterns. Behavioral design patterns are patterns that identify common communication patterns between objects and realize these patterns. These patterns increase flexibility in carrying out this communication. Behavioral patterns is used to identify the communication pattern between the objects. That's the thing. Structural patterns identify the relationship between entities. Creational patterns deals with the creating object mechanism, and behavioral patterns deals with what? Identify the common communication pattern between the objects. Fine. Moving on to the next slide. Now we are going to see web app design. Until up to this previous slide, we saw about architectural design pattern. Now we are going to see web application design, that is web app design. Okay. What is the web app design? It is an engineering activity that leads to a high quality product. Every person who has surfed the web, definitely we all surf the web and we are in web always, or used a corporate intranet as an opinion about what makes a good web app. Yeah. All students are very eagerly waiting about web app. Okay. Good web app. What are the general quality attributes which can be applied to a web app? What are the qualities? They are usability, functionality, reliability, efficiency, and maintainability. Okay, there will be some general qualities. These are general qualities. Okay, we are going to see one by one. What are they? What is usability in web application? Yes, global site understandability, understanding the World Wide Web is more important in this. And after that, online feedback and help features. Yeah, creating a web application, and then you should have online feedback about this application and help supporting. Customer support should also be available. And then interface and aesthetic features. What are the interface? As user interface, and it should have the appealing look. Therefore, the user should feel comfortable while working with this using this web application. And other special features, what some tooltip information, other information should also be included in that. Okay. Next comes the functionality. How do we see what is the functionality in a web application? What are the things we consider as a functionality of a web application? They are navigation and browsing feature. How do we navigate from one page to another page? How do we browse some of the features available in a web application? Okay, how do we search some content? How do we retrieve it? And then application domain related feature. What are the application domain related features? Suppose I'm using a banking web application. Therefore, that application should have the number of bank details, also should have the IFC code which is available for the particular bank, so that I can select a bank and then I can select IFC code so that I can make a transfer, credit transfer. Okay, therefore, what is the domain here? Banking knowledge is a domain. And web application of a bank means what? The domain is what? Banking. Therefore, bank details should be there. We should not go out and check it out the bank details and come there and fill the details. Therefore, all the details related to the domain. Here in the example, we can tell the banking web application. It should contain what list of banks available, list of the IFC code of the particular bank. Everything should be available so that he or she can transfer easily without moving out of the application. Fine. And what is reliability? Correct link processing. Yes, if suppose you click something, you should go for the correct appropriate page, appropriate form. And then error recovery. Something has happened, it should recover properly within time. And user input validation and recovery. Yes, the validation part should be done. Suppose you are giving the account number, it's not a proper account number, it's having more number of digits, it should, the validation should be done and it should be instructed to the customer, bank customer. Therefore, validation should be done. Okay. Then comes the efficiency. Okay, what is efficiency? How well the web application is working? How efficient to the users? Okay, response time performance is how it is giving response whenever I give some input and how much time it takes to give me output. How much time it takes for confirmation for a transfer. It is a major thing. Response time means how much time it takes for the application to run by getting the input and by giving the output. That's the response time. And page generation, how much time it takes to load a particular page. That is a page generation speed, how much time it takes to load a particular page. And graphic generation speed is what, how much process it needs to process a graphic, and purely depends upon the processor. Okay, how graphics are loaded and processed depends upon the processor. Based upon the processor, the speed will increase. So for efficiency, response time is checked, page loading speed, and then graphics loading speed, everything is checked in efficiency of a web application. Okay, and what is maintainability? Yes, ease of correction. Suppose something has been, we have to update the existing application. We should do this. We should do some changes in the application based upon the user feedback. Yes, it should be done. It should be possible to do for ease of correction. And then adaptability. Our any web application should be adapt to any OS, any environment. It can be used in iPhone. Also, it should be used in Android phone. Also, it can be used to a desktop likewise. It should be adapt to the any environment. Therefore, it will be a good web application. And then extendable, there is updation. Extendability is updation, another versions. Therefore, it should be able to move to the next version. It's able to extend our existing version of a web application. Able to extend in simple. Okay. Yeah. Able to extend. For these are the things. Therefore, what are the attributes of web application? Usability, functionality, reliability, efficiency, and maintainability. Okay. Some additional features also there. What are the additional features for web app? Yes, security. Mainly when we are on the internet, there are some more security threats are there. Therefore, we should have the security as a major point in that. Is heavily integrated with critical corporate and government databases. Yeah, government databases are there. For example, e-commerce applications extract and then store sensitive customer information. For example, we have a government, for example, web application called EPFO, E-Provident Fund Organization. It's a government application, web application. Okay, you can take that as an example. Therefore, it contains databases of employers. But it's a government database. So it should be secured. Therefore, the key measure of security is the ability of web app and its server environment to rebuff unauthorized access. Rebuff in the sense to deny the unauthorized access. That is a major thing. Only the authorized user can access the particular web app. I'm having a web EPFO web application. Only if I am a member, if I am a user, I can access it. Otherwise, I cannot access it. Therefore, unauthorized access should not be allowed. That is, it should be denied. Okay. Then comes the availability. What is availability? Is a measure of the percentage of time that a web app is available for use. Yes, how much time it is available? It's major important feature. Percentage of time. Okay. Scalable. That is, build a web app that can accommodate the burden of success and become more successful. How many people are using those web applications successfully? Number of users are using, and it is working fine. It is a scalable. So successfully, how many of the users are using it? It also accounts. And last point is time to market. Okay. That is if it is a measure of quality from a business point of view. Okay. The first web app to address a specific market segment often captures a disproportionate, that is too large or too small when compared to something number of end users. That is, if we are going to launch a web application for the first time, we cannot predict that how many number of end users are using that, will use that, because it will be disproportionate. That is, too large number of users can use that or too small number of users when it was launched at the first time. As the time goes on, we can predict. Therefore, it is a measure of quality from a business point of view. How many persons are used for using that app commercially? For example, Amazon. Maybe it's a world famous commercial application. Fine. Likewise, it is going to be a first web app. It will have some disproportionate, but you cannot predict how many number of users. Number of end users also measure the quality of an application. Definitely, more number of end users are using. That means what is the meaning? They feel more comfortable. Therefore, they are using our application. Our application is efficient, reliability, available, secure in all the sense. They are paying even. They are paying using their wallet, credit card, everything, and an online payment has been done using the web application, the e-commerce web application. Therefore, a web application should ensure that the users can use a web application safely. They should have the satisfaction. Therefore, the n number of users, how many number of users are using that web application, also measures the quality of an web application. Definitely, we all know this actually. Fine. How will you measure the quality of an web application? It is a business point of view. It might be developer point of view, it may be different. But the business point of view, how many persons are using my web application? It matters a lot. Fine. Okay. As last summary. Therefore, in this unit, we have covered what we have covered: architectural design pattern, and then web application based design. What is a design pattern? First of all, it is just a design pattern. It will give an idea to solve the problem. By using the design pattern, we cannot get into the code directly. After finishing the design only, we should get we can get into the coding part. This is the before the finishing the design. It is the part by which we can give the idea of solving the problem. Okay, after architectural design pattern, we saw web application based design. What are the properties of this? And what are the things should be. Lastly, we saw 4 points. Security, very major role. It plays very major role in web application development. Security, time to market, and then what are scalability, and then what availability. 24/7, the application should be available whenever needed, because nowadays e-commerce is growing like that. There are n number of applications in e-commerce. Therefore, there are more competition in that. Okay. Therefore, we should satisfy all those criteria. Fine. Okay. In this unit, the possible questions we can see is web application based design model, and then pattern based design model, and different types of patterns. Yeah, creational, structural, and behavioral. We saw that again. And then we'll explain architectural design pattern, and merits and demerits of, yes, advantages and disadvantages of architectural design pattern. Yes, one should select a proper architectural design pattern so that it will not affect the implementation part. If he or she is not citing a proper one, what happens? It will lead to the increase in the cost and the time limit, increase the budget. Therefore, what is the advantage in architecture design? That yes, we can reuse the existing design which matches the proposed system. The most commonly architecture design pattern are reusable. Okay. For this unit, we saw about web application design and then architecture design pattern. Students, these are the possible questions. Okay, students. Thank you. Have a nice day.